What's up, everybody? I got on the mower. I'm getting ready to mow some grass, but I figured I could wear these Durodero Fargos that I recently reviewed on the channel, uh, and I could wear these, you know, to mow in or to mow with. These are surprisingly not that uncomfortable. They seem to be okay so far. Of course, they need to be broken in a lot more, but this is kind of what they look like on the feet, or on my feet anyway. As you can see, the creases. I've worn them around a little bit and stuff, but mowing on the zero turn mower here seems to be one thing that I can do in these boots. I don't think I'll have any risk of toe injury riding on the mower. So I figure I might as well put them on and wear them to do this. We haven't gotten a lot of rain around here lately. The grass is mostly browned out and dead. So I could have been mowing a lot more times since I got the boots to wear these boots in to mow with. But well, just since it ain't been raining and it was hot, it's killed the grass, and it ain't really had no chance to mow for probably about a month or so. But we finally started getting some rain again. We still haven't got a whole lot, but there was a couple days of good downpour showers, so it seems to have wakened the grass up a little bit more, and I can actually finally get on the mower and do a little bit of mowing. Try and at least get it back mowed down pretty good. It's not going to be 100% green like it was back in the spring or anything, but it's at least grown enough now that I can finally get out on the mower and do a mow. So I can't film while I'm mowing on the mower because where it's a zero turn, I have to have both hands on the levers, so it's kind of hard to hold a phone and mow with a zero turn at the same time. They probably make some kind of a mount system you can put your phone in to film while you're mowing, but I don't have any of that right now. There seems to be a little bit of a sweat bee or something taking interest in my boots down there. But a little bit about this zero turn mower. This is a Cub Cadet ZT1 from the I think it's the Ultima series. Yeah, I seen it down there. It's the Ultima series. This is a relatively new design from Cub Cadet. I think they come out with these in like 2021 or so. Kind of like a redesign from the ground up, zero turn. But it's still kind of a residential grade mower. But let me zoom back out here. I'll kind of get off of here and give you a little walk around of it. See if I can get off of this without killing myself. There we go. So there's the ZT1. This is a 50-inch cut. Got the fabricated deck instead of the stamped deck, which the deck's a little dirty. I've got a bunch of grass built up on it. I need to clean that off, but where it's a fabricated deck, it's a lot stronger. Like you can kind of hit stuff with this deck, like if you get up against like a concrete pad or something and it just kind of catches on it, it ain't going to bend and knock the deck out of whack like on a stamped, those flimsy stamp decks. It actually can take a hit. And this is the back tires on. They don't have the biggest back tires on, but this is, like I say, this is kind of a residential grade mower. But it does do a pretty good job. And here it has the Kawasaki FR691V. That's a horse of an engine right there, 23 horse. And I've mowed the pasture. I've mowed the hayfield with it just for fun, just to see how it would do. And it went through and mowed the hayfield no problem. On our farm here, we got about 3.5 acres of grass to mow total. And with that rider, that's what we used before we got this zero turn. That rider right there, it would take us 3.5 hours to mow with it. But this zero turn has cut that down in half. It now only takes us about 1.5 hours to mow everything, which is way, way better. You don't feel like you're, spending your whole life mowing grass like you did with that thing. You can just, zip around and get everything mowed. Of course, this is a wheel horse that I have. I got to get this thing going again. It did run when I got it. This belonged to my grandpa. My grandpa Prowse. He gave it to me. Just randomly gave it to me one day. And I loaded it up and brought it up here. And he bought it brand new. This thing cost. I still have the book and the original sales receipt and everything for it. And this was like about a $3,300 mower in 1989 was when he bought this thing it was 1988. That's right. Yeah, he bought it in 1988. Brand new from our local wheel horse. It was a local wheel horse dealer. It was in about 20 miles from here or so. But he bought it from there, and he mowed many, many hours with this thing. I remember as a kid watching him mow a lot with this thing. And I was surprised he gave it to me. I figured he'd kind of let it stay with the house and stuff. But he wound up getting a newer mower off my dad. And so he decided he didn't really need this one much anymore, so he just gave it to me. And I mowed with it a lot when I got it. But I started having fuel delivery problems. And this thing has a fuel pump on the side of the block that it's got a little arm in there that runs off a camshaft. And the diaphragm in that fuel pump, they just rotted out and shot. So I went and bought a new fuel pump. I actually got it from the same shop where it was sold, but they don't sell wheel horse anymore. They sell Cub Cadet, but they can still get a lot of the parts for wheel horses. And so I got a new fuel pump for it from them, put it on and everything, and it still wouldn't run. So I don't know. I was kind of at a loss there because it ran fine before. So that one needs to be looked into. Maybe there was something more going on than just the fuel pump, but it's still kind of a mystery because it ran perfectly fine, up until the fuel pump went out. And I could tell the fuel pump was the main problem, because when I took it off, the rubber diaphragm was all cracked apart and rotted. So it wasn't even able to pull a vacuum anymore. So I knew right then and there, it's not pulling fuel from the tank's in the back right here. It's a 3-gallon tank. But so I don't know. It's a mystery. It kind of needs a new seat on it. This seat, I don't know where the seat came from, but it's not the factory wheel horse seat. I think my grandpa put this on later on down the road because it has a higher back on it. The factory seat on these this backrest was probably about half this height. It probably only came up to about right there, or maybe a little higher. But I can imagine if you're sitting on this thing for, hours and hours a day, it kind of gets kind of hard on your back after a while. Not having much of a backrest. So I can see where he put that on. And the steering wheel is bent out around, if you can tell. That's kind of a memory for me now, because my grandpa actually flipped this over in the creek. I don't know if I was even alive, if I was even born yet when he done it. But he flipped it over in the creek, and it didn't really hurt nothing. All it did was bend the steering wheel out around like that, and it's been like that ever since. And I kind of thought, well, it is the factory wheel horse steering wheel, and it's been out around, so it's kind of like a little memory of my grandpa that way. But it has a 42-inch deck on it, and in 1988, a 42-inch deck was the biggest deck you can get on a mower. Everything else was smaller than that. So this was darn near the top of the line wheel horse tractor that they had at that time, the best I can tell. It's a 416/8. I don't know if you can see. Well, there's some weird pieces of, I think that's roof shingles. Oh yeah, it's up on the front there. Let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah, right there, 416/8. The 416 is the model, and the 8 stands for 8-speed, which means it's a standard. So you got 8 speeds. 4, you got 1 through 3, and then you got reverse, and then you got a high and low range right there that you can flip between. That gives you a total of 8 speeds or 8 gears. And then the 16 in the model, well, I just lost focus for some reason. But the 16 in the model stands for 16 horsepower. It's got the Kohler Magnum Series 16 engine in it. And this thing was a tank. When it ran, like, you look at the rear end in this thing, and they used real solid, heavy rear ends. I mean, that's probably 10 times the rear end is what they got in them now. And real solid, tongue to pull with. I think these things are ready to pull like a total of 800 pounds, but these were literally a garden tractor. Like, they was meant to do garden work, but also be able to mow your grass at the same time. So, they were built pretty heavy and built pretty stout. And then we got that thing. That's a John Deere LA 115. It come from a John Deere dealership, so it's a real John Deere. It's not a MTD one, but it has the trouble with the plastic pulley on the rear end there that it makes a bunch of noise, and we haven't used it in a while. But primarily our go-to was this Cub Cadet XT1, and it's got 20. I think it's a 22 horse. Let's see what I think it's 22 horse. Yeah, 22 horse, 7000 series Kohler in it, and that's been a good engine. We've had pretty good luck with it. As many hours. There's like over 500 hours on this thing, and the only thing we've had to do engine-wise to it is the fuel shutdown solenoid on the carburetor went bad. And when that happens, you have to buy a whole new carburetor because it's made onto the carburetor. It kind of sucks, but other than that, it's only been, oil, and I don't even think we've changed that many belts on it. I think the belts on the deck, we went through one belt in over 500 hours. And of course the transmission drive belt and stuff, it's still factory. So we ain't really had much going on with that. But yeah, I figured I'd give you a little tour of some of the equipment we use around here to try and keep this farm mowed. Let me see here. I'll get back on this thing. What I can do is I can give y'all a cold start. And this thing ain't ran in probably about a month and a half or so, because, well, the grass ain't been tall enough to mow. So we'll give her a fire up here and see how she goes. And then after that, I'll have to end the video because it'll get too loud to talk, and I can't mow and film at the same time. But this thing here, you have to have the throttle about halfway, and then what it'll do is it'll crank and then it'll hit, and then you take of course we gotta pull the choke up here. And this is the combination that it only starts with for some odd reason. I mean, even though it's warm out, you think you wouldn't have to have choke, but choke has to be up, throttle halfway, and it'll crank and hit. And then once it hits, you can take the choke back off and then crank it again. It'll fire up and you're good to go. So we'll see if that's what it does today. Yep, there it did its hit. Now it's ready to go. Good old Kawasaki. Yeah, that's pretty good for setting for a month. Not gonna complain about that. Alrighty, well, I got my Durodero boots on. I'm gonna get after it. We'll see y'all later.